Another year and another journey through the movies. So, should we just look at what really went well with movies this year? Yeah, why not? Hello brothers, my name is Daidarius and welcome to my top 10 movies of 2019. Bear in mind that this is my personally top 10 list, so it's gonna be a very biased list. So if you have any interest in this list you don't agree with, or if you don't agree with anything on this list, then it's totally fine because you have your list, I have my list. So let's not fight on whose list is correct because we all know it's gonna be this guy's. I'm just messing with you. But I will not review the movies on this list because all of these movies has their own review on my channel. However, the top 5 movies will get their own card right up here in this corner. So look forward to that if you haven't seen the reviews. Otherwise, you can search them on my channel. Other than that, there's not much more to say. Then I'm just gonna praise all these movies with all the love. Because sometimes what a movie really needs is some love from its fans. So how about I walk over here and let's start with the first one. Number 10. At number 10, we have a movie I didn't think I was going to appreciate as much as I did about this cute little robot. It is Bumblebee. Now, Bumblebee was a fresh breath of air into the Transformer franchise, or the Transformer trash pile that it has become in the later years. This movie focused a lot more on Transformers than the former movies have done, especially Bumblebee, and you really get to fall for Bumblebee and the way he interacts with the human in this movie. And also this movie had a lot of heart and it really resonated with me. And also I'm not really sure if they rebooted the timeline, but I really hope so because the timelines are getting really confusing at this point. But nonetheless, this movie is adorable and I'm pretty sure that you will like it. Number 9. At number 9, we have a biopic of one of the most nastiest serial killers in American history. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. Now, I didn't give this movie much thought because it was just another biopic. It was Zac Efron in the lead role, and he hasn't really shown me that he has so much dramatic range, but holy shit was I wrong. Now, this movie is kind of in a rush because it wants to tell the whole story of Ted Bundy from when he started killing people and then until his imprisonment. But what it really does well is showing you how charming Ted Bundy was, which also was the reason why he was able to, seduce and murder women, but also how ineffective the system was at that point in time. And this movie is just really well told, and it is definitely complimented if you then later on watch the Ted Bundy tapes, because then you can see what really happened in more an expanded and explained way. But this movie makes you kind of fear Zac Efron, and I mean, it's Zac Efron. Number 8. At number 8, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say it is going to Parasite. Now, Parasite I reviewed here in 2020, but this is my reasoning. It came out in 2019. It had a wide release in 2019. So just because I was late to the table doesn't mean that this movie is going to miss out on this top 10 list. This movie is exactly what you expect it to be if you've seen Bong Joon-ho's other movies. It makes you not really sympathize with the main characters, but holy hell does it tell an interesting and weird story that you just get drawn into, and you can't really look away from the screen because it is just so gravitating. Just throughout my personal viewing of this movie, I just kept thinking to myself, it can't get more weirder now, can it? Well, yes it can, apparently. And also this movie is kind of a masterclass on how to do subtlety. And also directing, really. Number 7. At number 7, we have the closing movie for Phase 3 in the MCU, Spider-Man Far From Home. So after the epic battle in Endgame, we kind of needed a more of a breather of a movie, and we got that in Spider-Man Far From Home. We also get a more of a deep dive into Peter Parker's psyche and how the void that Tony Stark left affects him. We also get to explore Spider-Man being out of his comfort zone, because now that he's become a real Avenger, there's a lot more expectation and pressure on his shoulders, and we really see that kind of shines in here when he has to take on the element fundamentals with Mysterio. And also thus the villain in this movie has one of the most interesting and creative powers ever. Just the way they utilize in that specific one scene, and you know which one it is when you have seen this movie. It is just so creative and something I've missed from superhero movies in a long time. And also just that cameo at the end, and I know I'm pretty much one of the only ones who think that is an epic cameo, but Jesus, that cameo! Number 6. At number 6 we have a Netflix original movie. Who would have thought they would make this list, where they did with The Highwaymen. Highwaymen is one of those kind of movies that I really enjoy. It is these two old men who is very experienced in one specific field, but they have kind of lost touch because they have been retired for so long, and then they come back and show all the young people how this shit is done. It also gives you an interesting insight into the Bonnie and Clyde chase that happened way back when. And just the acting of the two main actors in this movie is what's making this movie really work. It just makes the whole experience more fulfilling. And even though we know how the ending for Bonnie and Clyde's journey ends, it doesn't make this movie any less suspenseful and less enjoyable. This movie just shows that history can still be suspenseful and interesting. Number 5. At number 5 we have the send-off to my personal DreamWorks trilogy, and that is How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World. How to Train Your Dragon has always been, in my opinion, where DreamWorks show they can actually compete with Pixar when it comes to direction, animation, and storytelling. And this send-off was just everything that I wanted to be. It finished the character's journey, it told an amazing and emotional and personal story, and it also did something interesting with established relationship, and also should really keep someone captured if their destiny lies elsewhere. This movie hit all the right notes, even though that the villain is very forgettable. The relationship between Hiccup and Toothless just sells this movie immensely, and the ending, I am very proud of the adult way of handling that ending, and it can do nothing else but make you cry and then later on have a big smile on your face. Number 4. At number 4 we have yet another animation movie, and that is Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now, Wreck-It Ralph is one of those movies that really surprised me, because it wasn't just a movie that uses nostalgia in cheap ways to just sell tickets. No, it actually has an emotional and deep story that it wanted to tell. And Ralph Breaks the Internet is no different. It takes the story and characters to a new place, so it isn't just a rehearsal of the plot for the former movie. And again, I really enjoyed the adult way of handling these subjects and serving them to kids, and also respecting kids, that kids are not stupid. You can actually tell them more complete and complex stories, and this movie really benefited from it. And just that end scene, it really hit me hard. I mean, it didn't hit me hard so I was crying, but it just resonated with me of how professionally and well thought out that was. It just, holy shit. And again, the humor was very good, and also the way it kind of characterized and criticized our online society today is just the cherry on top. Number 3. Alright, now we're at the top 3, and this is where it was kind of more hard to choose. I mean, top 1 was easy for me to choose, but 3 and 2 kind of shifted throughout this year, but this is what I'm sticking with. So at number 3 we have the epic conclusion for an 11-year journey, Avengers Endgame. Now, Avengers Endgame doesn't really work unless you have all the build-up, because without that, this movie is kind of a drag, kind of boring. But with all that build up, and especially the ending from the former movie, it really sets the tone of the dire and desperate situations of our main heroes. And just that time skip at the beginning of the movie just hits way too hard, and it puts our characters in more desperate situations than they've ever been, and now they need to find one way to fix everything, and hopefully they were able to do it, because Thanos is kind of a god now, so yeah, it's not like there's any pressure on them or anything. But just the way this movie makes an homage to the 11 year that came beforehand, and then that epic conclusion where we asked ourselves, how many heroes from the MCU did we want? And then the answer was,
bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
Everyone! That's right, Gary Oldman. That was epic, and it was a satisfying conclusion to the 3-phase long story that never has been done before, and probably will never be done this good ever again. It is just the perfect ending, even though we got Spider-Man Far From Home as the real ending. But as for me personally, this was the perfect ending for the MCU, even though that we're gonna go to, phase 4 and phase 5, and they're gonna milk this thing dry and it's gonna be crap. But at least we got these first 3 phases capped off in a beautiful way. Number 2. At number 2, we have the best action movie of the year, if you ask me, and that is John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. John Wick Chapter 3 was everything that I wanted and more. The action is more creative, the lore is expanding immensely, and John himself is actually going on a maybe subtle, but nonetheless, character journey. I love the action sequences and the way they are directed and shot and edited. It's just one of the best way to enjoy action in modern times, because it really makes every scene breathe and that you just see everything happening, and it's kind of a ballet and an homage to the old Hong Kong movies. And then there's also the fact that every shot is freaking gorgeous. You can almost screenshot any scene in this movie and you will have a perfect wallpaper. Now the ending does leave something to be desired, but then again they are gonna make a fourth one where they hopefully cap up this 4-movie story. However, this movie puts the pedal to the metal and it doesn't lift the foot off the gas until we hit the end credit scene. So yeah, what a ride. Number 1. And at number 1 is a movie I didn't thought I would love as much as I did. However, I really did love this movie, and that is Green Book. Now, Green Book is one of those movies that doesn't really want to rush anything. It takes its time with everything, but it uses that time efficiently, and that is to tell the growing friendship between our two main characters. And by keeping the focus surrounding these two characters' growing relationship just makes this movie flow so naturally that you're not even gonna notice that you spent over 2 hours watching it. You're slowly falling for these two characters, and you're also just feeling like you are on a road trip journey with them. And even though this is yet a racism commentary movie in the United States, it doesn't really force it in your face, but more like showing the less hurtful but still unjustified treatment of colored people back then. And you really do get angry every time you get into those situations in the movie. But instead of treating the subject with hate, the movie just trying to show an angle with love and care between these two men. And that made the angle on this subject more, I'm gonna say, fresh. But nevertheless, the directing, the pacing, and especially the acting is Oscar worthy. And Viggo Mortensen should, in my opinion, have won that Oscar. Rami Malek did a good job. However, Viggo Mortensen did an even better job. So there you have it. That is my personal top 10 movies of 2019. So what is your personal movies of 2019? And also keep in mind, I didn't saw every movie that came out last year. And also, if the movie hasn't been reviewed on this channel, then it is not gonna get on this list, unfortunately. So if there is any movie that I should have reviewed on this channel, then please let me know in the comments down below, and then I might review it on a later date. And if nothing else, I wish you all a happy new year, even though the new year has happened. So I wish you all a good starting of 2020. And also, I'm looking forward to a lot of great movies this year. The next movie I'm gonna review is gonna be 1917, because it has finally gotten a wide cinema release. So I can't wait to watch that movie and see if it's as good as people say it is. Who knows? And if nothing else, until I see you in this video, remember to stay awesome. See ya. Right? New year, a lot of movies to watch, and you.